watch on Netflix. I've been watching a lot of good and some not so good things, so I have a lot to talk about. But before I begin, I want to shout out my sponsor, The Coldest Water. You've heard me talk about this before. If you'd like to get one of these for yourself, check in the description for the link and the coupon code, which will save you 10% off your purchase. That is my ASMR, no space. There's also a link to a giveaway. This bottle will keep not only will it keep your water cold forever, but it actually makes it colder than you've ever had before. If you put ice in it, it just makes it the coldest water ever. And it doesn't sweat. Okay, enough said. Gum. Here's what I'm chewing, or what I will be chewing in a second. Okay, so I do have a list of the shows that I've seen lately. And let's start with the old movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's from, did I write? I think it was made in the 70s, but it's about the 50s. Okay, now the reason I watched it was because the series Ratched was coming out soon, and the series was to be based on the old movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I did see, but it was quite a long time ago, so I wanted to refresh myself, even though you didn't need to see one to see the other, you know, but it was being, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it was being offered by Netflix purposely at that time, I think, you know, to get people ready for Ratched. Okay, so that movie, very good movie. It's a classic. Probably a lot of you have seen it. It's about Jack Nicholson. He's a criminal of sorts. He was in the penitentiary, and they decided to ship him over to the mental institution to see if he was actually mentally ill rather than just, you know, straight up regular type of criminal. And while he's there, I'm not really spoiling it to tell you. I think it's pretty clear from the beginning that he's not really crazy, okay? He does try to act a little bit like he is, but he's really not fooling anybody. And anyway, he becomes obviously, you know, friendly with the other inmates. The word is not inmates, right? The other patients there. Really interesting group of guys, all with pretty severe mental illnesses. And there's one in particular he befriends who is this really, really, really big and tall Native American guy, who he manages to bring out of his shell, which is, you know, a turning point. Anyway, I'm not going to ruin the movie for you, in case you want to see it, but I do remember that when I first saw it, I was in college, and they showed it to us as part of my abnormal psych class. is the same nurse from the Cuckoo's Nest movie. And she was kind of an evil person in the movie. So you're assuming she's an evil person still, and it sure does look like it, okay? So as the movie starts, there's a bunch of priests that all live together in a house. And I'm not gonna tell you exactly what happens, even though it's like really the very beginning, but a crime occurs there. A big crime, and the criminal is caught. And then you see that Nurse Ratched is on her way to the mental institution there, where this guy, the criminal, is soon to be sent for an evaluation. Okay, and there's a connection there. I probably shouldn't tell you the connection, because that might ruin it for you, and a lot of people will want to see this because it's really popular. Anyway, overall, it's got the same feeling as kind of like Bates Motel, you know, which is similar in a way because Bates Motel is a series that was based off of Psycho, the movie. But it has the same kind of feeling, like old time, like everything is like fancy, old-fashioned cars, and like just everything looks beautiful, like so picturesque. You know, but it is horror. It's a horror show, I guess you would say. And yeah. So I saw the whole thing, and I would say it was entertaining. Not the best thing I've ever seen, but it was entertaining. I did feel like Nurse Ratched didn't hold true to her character. You know, I don't think that was supposed to be completely obvious. I just felt that her character for most of it was just this horrible, evil woman, and then she kind of didn't seem that evil by the end, although she hadn't really done anything so nice, you know. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Okay, The Devil All the Time is a movie. New movie. I think it's a Netflix original. It's a psychological thriller, or that's what they consider it to be, and it has an all-star cast, including Robert Pattinson, Tom Holland, and Bill Skarsgård. And it's based on the 1950s and 60s. So, by the way, I watched it because I saw that Robert Pattinson was in it. I'm like, oh, let me watch this, I like him. He's not like, I'm not fangirling over him, but I've liked him, you know, in movies. I was like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? I kept like, where the heck is this guy? He doesn't appear in the movie till like at least halfway through. So, anyway, if that's what you're looking for, be aware. But anyway, so what is it about? there's these guys that work for the Boston Globe newspaper, and they have this program called Spotlight there, or they did, where they would focus on, that little group would just kind of focus on uncovering some kind of big story that, take their time, not just like the daily news people, Move on to different thing to play with. So, they got this new, I don't know if he was the editor-in-chief or whatever, a new head guy, who wanted them to look into the whole, priest, I can't say the word again, the priests doing the, abusing stuff, wanted them to look into that whole thing for what was going on in Boston, specifically. They felt there was a big cover-up. So these guys work on it, and they do uncover a big scandal, okay? It was a huge scandal, much bigger than they ever thought it was, and this is a true story, okay? And, when the movie was over, they showed you on the screen a list. It's like, these are all the cities around the world that have been affected by this problem. And the whole screen was covered with lots of different cities all over the world. And I was trying to read it, and immediately it went away. I'm like, wait, give me a second. But meanwhile, there was a whole nother screen. And then there was a whole nother screen, and a whole nother screen. So the point was, they weren't going to let me read it, because the point was, there are so many. There's it's like every city in the world, which I was shocked by. Okay. And I don't like to really get into these heavy topics, but I was really thinking, why is this a phenomenon? Like, what is the reason? What makes somebody, and nothing against the Catholic religion, okay? Nothing at all. I'm not trying to, say anything bad about anyone's religion at all. I'm just saying, why does this happen so frequently in such a specific way? And you can't say it's because of the celibacy vow that they take. Because if that were the case, they can just go out and get an adult woman, right? But they don't do that. Or then you could say, well, they choose these little boys because they'll be quiet about it. That's not a good enough reason. If it was something that you were completely morally against, you wouldn't go ahead and do it just because the person wouldn't tell. You would want to do what you want to do, which wouldn't be that activity, if you follow me. Alright, I won't say anything else about that. Next. Okay. The Paramedic. Now that was another movie. And it was a Spanish movie, meaning it was in Spain, made in Spain, okay, but it was dubbed in English. It's annoying they don't tell you a lot of these things, like where things take place. You have to look it up if you care, and I do, because I'm like, where is this? Like, I'm not even sure what language they're talking. So I looked it up, and it said Spain, okay? Anyway. So it is the story of a guy who's a paramedic, and he's dating this woman who is a French woman, actually. And she is in school and working at the same time. She's trying to become a veterinarian, I think. Anyway, their relationship doesn't seem that great, and he doesn't seem like such a great person either. suspicious.